Hi everyone, it's Rena from Perth IELTS and PTE Tutoring. I'm a private tutor based in Perth, Western Australia, and today we're just going to jump straight into a tutorial on summarized written text. Right, this is not one of the most important questions out there, but it does seem to cause a bit of drama. So let's get straight into it. First part will always be a tutorial. You'll get the basics. You need to know what the question's all about, how you're assessed, what you need to do, the steps, and my technique. And then I will show you how I apply that technique and get almost full scores every time. All right, let's get straight into it.
So before I get into a few demonstrations, as usual, I want to go through a few basic points about the summarized written text question type. As usual, we will begin with the no BS basics. You need to know the format of the question, how your answer is marked, and what weight this question carries. Summarized written text questions contribute up to 6% of your final writing score and just around 4% of your final reading score. The reason I'm covering this question type before other, more important question types is because it covers two skills and, of course, because many of you seem to struggle with it, despite it being a relatively unimportant question type. So what will we encounter? You will have to read a passage of up to 300 words and produce a single grammatically correct sentence of up to 25 words within 10 minutes. You might encounter this question type twice. Again, it's really nothing to worry about because, as always, the exam is flawed and weakened by the fact that it is not marked by an actual human being. So let's talk about the basic skills you will need in order to answer summarized written text questions. If you are the kind that likes to type out words instead of copying and pasting, again, a really crappy way of assessing English proficiency is to see how one copies and pastes, but here we are. Your typing speed needs to be at an average of 25 to 30 words per minute. This speed goes for essay writing questions as well. The ever important basic grammar and punctuation knowledge is always going to be a necessary skill. It is, after all, an English proficiency test. You need to be able to read at a relatively quick speed of 130 words a minute in English, and of course, you need to be able to manage your time properly since it's not always a straightforward task to come up with a single sentence in under 10 minutes. Now you need to know how you're going to be assessed. It's clearly a nonsense question, and your true English proficiency isn't being tested, but we still want full marks, don't we? Your aim is to get a total of 7 marks. How would you get these marks? 1 mark from your format, which is a single sentence under 75 words, starting with a capital letter and ending with a full stop. 2 marks for grammar, 2 marks for content, and 2 marks for vocabulary. So how will we do this? You're going to need 1 complete sentence with a capital first letter and a full stop or period at the end. The sentence must be less than 75 words. It must be grammatically correct with appropriate punctuation. Content must be sufficiently covered and all words spelled correctly. Now, what's really funny is you will find, especially those of you who practice using APE Uni and Alpha PTE, that the format for punctuation is really, really confusing. You will find that people excessively use commas and semicolons. All right? I understand this, but because it's being marked by AI, please note that it's more appropriate to use commas than to leave them out. Okay? All right, I'll explain that further on as we do the demonstrations. Right. As with all things PTE academic, no logic, no dramas. You don't need to worry about the content of your sentence making sense because you're not writing for a human being, you are writing for AI. And we're not talking about some highly adaptive AI, we're talking about the Neanderthal version of AI. So don't try to make sense of the content. Just work on getting the grammar, spelling, and punctuation perfect. So here's how we are going to tackle this question type. Step 1. Visually assess the length of the text. This is not the same as reading the text. I just want you to look at what you have been given. Some texts will have 4 paragraphs and some will just have 2. My technique relies heavily on your ability to look at the passage and determine how much you want to highlight. Step 2 depends on step 1. If there are 3 paragraphs, I want you to copy and paste 3 sentences. The main topic sentences of each paragraph is what you're going to copy. And I will show you what I mean in the demos. It's only at step 3 that I want you to start reading the content. That too, I just want you to read the 3 or 4 sentences that you have chosen. I don't need you to read the passage. I just need you to read what you have copied and pasted. So it's a maximum of 4 sentences. Step 4 is where it gets tricky. You're going to combine the sentences by eliminating full stops, capital letters, and inappropriate punctuation. Then you are going to insert conjunctions, commas, and even simple words like and so. So now that you have made a giant, very stupid sounding sentence, let's fix the grammar and word count in step 5. Step 6. Read the now grammatically correct but illogical sentence back to yourself. Does it sound grammatically wrong? Does it feel excessively long and full of unnecessary punctuation when you read it to yourself? Remember, if it sounds wrong, it probably is wrong. Go back to step 3. Okay, so let's go back quickly for a second. And for the final few steps, all you need to do is make adjustments. Please note that throughout this whole process, I have not once asked you to read the entire text, just the sentences that you have chosen, and of course, your final product, which in step 8, you will read it to yourself one final time before you submit. Remember the rule, if it sounds wrong, it probably is wrong. Alrighty friends, there you have it. You know all the basics of the summarized written text question type. All that's left to do is to see how I do it. Let's hope I can get 7 out of 7 marks each time. See you in a minute.
All right, friends, so here I am on my AP Uni dashboard. Let's get straight into it. Summarize written text. Remember the procedure. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to visually assess the paragraph or however many paragraphs there are, and then I'm just going to pick and choose topic sentences from those paragraphs, up to 4 sentences, and then I'm going to read the content that I've copied and pasted. Okay, let's get straight to it. Okay, let's do difficulty hard. Let's see if there are any hard ones. Hey. All right, written language. Let's do that one. Okay, it says undone. As you can see, I have zoomed in so you can all see the see what I'm doing. I might zoom out just a little bit. Okay, so we've started our timer. You can see that it's a 1 paragraph essay. So up to 300 words you're allowed to get. Let's copy and paste. Let's see what we can do. And then I'm going to do that. Another sentence. Remember, it doesn't need to make logical sense. It needs to make grammatical sense. It needs to be a correct sentence. All right. It's a very complicated text, obviously. All right. We've highlighted 82 words. We need a maximum of 75. Your sweet spot is between 55 and 65. All right. So let's read it together now. The world engages in improving literacy of reading and writing, but it is not that important now. 6,000 to 10,000 years ago, many of our ancestors' hunter gatherer societies settled on the land and began what's known as the agricultural revolution. Text has run its historic course and is now rapidly getting replaced in every area of our lives by the ever increasing array of emerging technologies driven by voice, video, and body movement rather than the written word. All right, I've put together a bunch of sentences that don't make sense and they're not actually linked. It's our job now to link those sentences. All right, so I'm going to put unlike. Remember, it doesn't need to make sense. When many of our ancestors, sorry, my internet's a little bit slow, my computer's a little bit slow. Ancestors, I accidentally settled on the land and began what is known as the agricultural revolution. So, comma, So now, text has run its. Oh, there's a now in there in the next sentence, so let's not put that now in there. All right, so text has run its historic courses, now rapidly getting replaced. All right, how many words? 79? All right, so I don't like the word ever increasing. It might lead to, even though it's from the original text, if you see something that's hyphenated or complicated looking, maybe leave it out because it might be a glitch in the text itself, or you might get marked by the array of emerging. All right, let's take a look-see, look-see. 73 words. I'm happy with that. Let's read it together. The world engages in improving literacy of reading and writing, but it is not that important now, unlike 6,000 years ago, when many of our ancestors settled on the land and began what's known as the agricultural revolution. So text has run its historic course and is now rapidly getting replaced in every area of our lives by emerging technologies driven by voice, video, and body movement rather than the written word. I'm really happy with that. How much time have I spent? Less than 5. Submit. Let's mark it, shall we? So you really, when you copy and paste, you really have to be quite discerning and quite decisive about what you want to copy and paste. Remember that you need to link it all into one sentence, and it does not need to make logical sense. All right, let's score it. I'm just going to stick to American because I find Americans love using lots of commas. Let's see how we went, okay? Fingers crossed, because it's my first one. So consider this the warm up, but really choose the hardest questions in here. I'm really happy with that. Okay, so as you can see, content, great. Form, great. Grammar, great. Vocabulary, great. For a total of 7 out of 7. You saw my technique. I'm sure 100% it works. I don't want you to read the whole passage. Don't do that. You don't need to, okay? It's not a tip, it's not a trick, it's not a hack. This is just you making the amount that you have to read shorter and more easier to deal with. Okay? Instead of having to read 300 words, I'm bringing it down to 90 words or so or less, and then we work with that. Okay? You still need to have really good grammar. You still need to know your punctuation, and of course, you need to be able to make compound and complex sentences. Alrighty, tighty, my friends. Let's do another. Let's do this time mediums, shall we? Some of them have already been done. In fact, quite a few have already been done, but that's okay. I have to teach students all the time, so here we are. Ooh, AI and drug resistance. Let's do this one. Sounds complicated. Don't panic. There's nothing to worry about. As you can see here, it has 4 paragraphs. Let's get down to business, shall we, my friends? Okay. I am going to take, I want to say, 3 paragraphs, three sentences. Okay. Is that I know? I'm just going to take 3. Actually, that looks pretty important, so let's just take that. I haven't read it yet. Okay. So we've got 1, 2, 3 sentences from a mixture of locations within the text. Let's read them together. Scientists in the United Kingdom and China have announced plans. Oh, I've only highlighted 81. All right. Okay, let's just take this one, the final sentence. Okay, scientists in the United Kingdom and China have announced plans to use artificial intelligence on chicken farms in order to combat the problem of antibiotic resistance in both farm animals and humans. Now, antibiotic resistance is a worldwide problem and it's getting worse and worse. This was written by a human being who's not a native English speaker. See the number of ants? And it's getting worse and worse. I can even hear an accent coming through when I read that. All right. And antibiotics work by disrupting function in certain parts of a bacterial cell. Bacteria become resistant to antibiotics through genetic mutations that alter those areas of the cell, meaning the medication can no longer target them. So we need the machine that is able to understand the relationship across a big amount of information. Wow, this was not a great text, but that's okay. We're still going to try and get 6.25 or 6 or 7. Okay? On chicken farms. Sorry, my computer's a bit slow. It seems to have hung. All right, here I'm going to put which is, I'm going to gratuitously put a comma there, which is a worldwide problem as antibiotics work by disrupting function in certain parts of a bacterial cell. But the bacteria become resistant to the antibiotics through genetic mutations. Meaning the medication. So, all right, let's read it together. There are lots of commas. It doesn't. There are some compound words. There's some joining words. Scientists in the United Kingdom and China have announced plans to use artificial intelligence on chicken farms in order to combat the problem of antibiotic resistance, which is a worldwide problem, as antibiotics work by disrupting function in certain parts of a bacterial cell. But the bacteria become resistant to the antibiotics through genetic mutations, meaning the medication can no longer target them. So we need the machine that is able to understand the relationship across a big amount of information. So we need, all right, 75 words. So we need to understand the relationship across a big amount of information. It does not make logical sense, but does it make grammatical sense? Probably. Let's have a go. I'm aiming for a 6 for this one. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed, my friends. As you can see, I don't edit out these things. I don't jump cut. I want you to see exactly that I'm submitting exactly what I wrote. All right, let's score American again because lots of commas in American writing. Fingers crossed. It needs to be at least 6. All right. Once again, I'm super happy with the result. You can see that for content, we took a scattered number of sentences. Okay, so we covered all the content in the text. Form, we produced a perfect single sentence. Grammar, I did use my grammatical skills to produce a really good, high quality sentence. And finally, you have your vocabulary, which of course it was all copied and pasted, so you can't screw that up, right? Okay, my friends, let's do one last one and let me show you once again that my system works. How does it work? Step 1, visually assess the length of the text. Step 2, highlight 3 to 4 random sentences within the text, but they technically are best if they are topic sentences. And finally, you read what you have copied and pasted. Then you get to work on combining those things into a single sentence. All right, let's move on. Let's do more questions that are not done. Global leadership. This is another medium one. Fingers crossed. 2 large paragraphs. Let's go. The text is ridiculous. Even the first sentence is flawed, but that's okay. I'm going to take one here. It's a pity because it looks like an interesting text, although it's full. All right. So how many have I copied and pasted? I have copied and pasted 89 words, which is the ideal. You can copy and paste about up to 90 to 100 words. Okay, and now we work through it. As we begin the 21st century, technological, economic, see, technological, political, social, but economic, and social forces have created a new era. To confront the 21st century challenges to our economy and national security, our education system must be strengthened to increase the foreign language skills and cultural awareness of our students. Most schools have not responded adequately to these challenges of the 21st century, and thus many American students lack sufficient knowledge of other world regions, languages, and cultures. State high school graduation requirements often include only minimal coursework in international studies. Okay, so as you can see, there's one phrase that's constantly being repeated: 21st century, 21st century, 21st century. We're going to cut all that crap out. We only need to mention it once. To confront challenges to our economy and national security, our strength to increase of our students. But most schools have not responded adequately to these challenges. So you can see I'm taking off that stuff, and thus many American students lack sufficient knowledge of other world regions. Take off that sentence, not needed. Okay, I've put in 70 words. Let's take a look-see and read it together again. As we begin the 21st century, technological, economic, political, and social forces have created a new era. So to confront challenges to our economy and national security, to confront challenges, our education system must be strengthened to increase the foreign language skills and cultural awareness of our students. But most schools have not responded adequately to these challenges, and thus many American students lack sufficient knowledge of other world regions, languages, and cultures. Okay, confront. I'm going to change it. New challenges. I'm going to take off this part. Our education system. All right. I've altered this sentence a lot. I've done a lot of work on it. So fingers crossed I can still get 6. Who knows? Maybe it's going to be a 4. We'll find out. So we started off with 89 words or something, and we brought it down to 65. We spent less than 4 minutes on this. Move on, okay? Try not to spend too long on these questions. All right, click to score. We can even do a British one today. Let's see how we go. Maybe it'll be much lower. 6.25. I'm still happy with that because of one tiny mistake here. Error, comma, so. Okay? So no dramas. If you've got a minor error in your grammar, don't worry about it. Minor error in vocabulary, don't worry about it. Again, I know there are other tutors out there saying content doesn't matter. It does. Okay? Grammar, vocabulary, form, it all matters. Please give this test your very, very best. Okay? All right. Let's do it one last one, another medium, and then we will be done for the day with this tutorial. Undone. Assessment. Okay, so it's two paragraphs, one larger than the other. So I'm going to take at least 2 sentences from here and maybe 1 sentence from here. Copy, paste. Copy. Nope, I don't want you. Paste. All right. And paste. How many have I got? 44 words. Let's get more. Let's get more. Okay, let's put this after the first one. Okay, let's do it, friends. 77 words. Ooh, let's do a little bit more because our goal is to kind of compress it into say 90 words. Okay, let's see. I've taken one last sentence. I haven't even had a chance to read it properly. All right. Okay. 116. Now it's just too much. Okay. Let's take off that sentence. All right, that's much more easy to deal with. Less than 100 words. Assessment is a central process in education. But as every teacher knows, many students do not learn what they are taught. So, indeed, when we look at their work, it is sometimes hard to believe that they were in the classroom. And because we cannot teach well without finding out where our students are starting from, we have to assess. But in all countries, assessments of the performance of individual students are used to determine which students are and students qualified. In all countries, assessments are used to determine. Which kinds of education students should receive? All right, that's still too long. Are used. All right, 73 words. Let's take a look-see. So I've compressed it down from, say, 98 down to 73 words. I've got a single sentence, lots of commas in there, some joining words, some conjunctions, some articles like and, the, and. Assessment is a central process in education, but as every teacher knows, many students do not learn what they are taught. So indeed, when we look at their work, it is sometimes hard to believe that they were in the classroom. And because we cannot teach well without finding out where our students are starting from, we have to assess. But in all countries, assessments of performance of individual students are used. So that shouldn't be but, it can be therefore. This is me attempting to make grammatical sense, logical sense, but this is what happens. I think we're not going to get full marks, but we'll see how we go. This is what happens when you try to change things, okay? Don't try to change things. Fingers crossed, I still get a really high score. I'm hoping for at least 6. We'll see how we go. Slow internet. All right. Here we are. It says success. Still hasn't quite loaded. There we are. Click to score. Let's do British. So we did 2 American. Now we're doing 2 British. Of the 3 I've done so far, I've gotten 7, 7, and 6.25. 7, 7, 7. Even when I tried to change when I did a bit of a change. But then again, don't forget, I have that grammatical skill. Okay, so that's it for the demonstrations. I'm really thrilled with that. I hope you are too. I hope you can understand my technique and that it's simple enough to follow and makes your time management just that little bit better because we're compressing it from over 300 down to less than 100 words before you even look at the words that are highlighted. All right, guys, see you in a minute. So there you have it, guys. We have figured out the technique for spoken summarized written text. I hope it was helpful. I hope that this allows you to save some time during the test and build a bit of confidence. I know that it's not the most important question type, but again, we're going to go through every single question type and I'm going to show you exactly how I would do it and give you the ways and strategies and methods on how to make it the best possible outcome or get the best possible outcome for yourselves while improving your English at the same time. Now, if you've stayed this long, thank you so much. Thank you so very much. I really appreciate you being here. I hope everything has been helpful. If you think that you quite enjoy my content, go ahead and subscribe. Share this with somebody you think might need a bit of help with summarized written text. And of course, have a great day. Sending you lots of love and good vibes from Perth, Western Australia. See you next time. Thanks. Bye.